So, Father Malone, I feel like you and I have an unspoken kinship to one Michael O'Donoghue, primarily because of the kinds of things that we find funny, if that makes sense, and the way we approach humor, right?
Yeah, Michael O'Donoghue represents a level of gallows humor, or black humor, that I think you and I share, and a willingness to rebel against societal norm with, a fervor. A fervor and a plum. Yes, a certain sophistication for the barbarous acts being perpetrated.
He is a sophisticate, one might say.
Yeah, he's the snarl behind the grin, Michael O'Donoghue.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm a fan of SNL like you are, but you and I, age difference. I saw the 90s SNL, so that's what I grew up with, Adam Sandler and stuff. And by that point, Michael O'Donoghue was no longer with the show, and he passes away, 94?
Yeah,
so,
94.
Before the age of me watching SNL Live. So you grew up with Michael O'Donoghue and his comedy stylings.
I certainly did. We've talked in other episodes. I've been a fan of Saturday Night Live. As soon as I was able to watch television, I've been watching Saturday Night Live, sneaking viewings late Saturday nights as a young child. But as a young child, was allowed, summertime to be up with all of the rest of the older cousins in the neighborhood and would watch it. So I don't think I became aware of Michael O'Donoghue until I was teenager. And that's when I really dove in hard. And that's when I was really doing a lot of reading about Saturday Night Live, old articles and magazines. And there's a really good book, the Doug Hale, Jeff Weingrad book about Saturday Night Live. And that's where I was fully introduced to him. And I didn't really get into him until I got to college. And that's when I was able to access the University of Southern California Stax, their library, and all the back issues of National Lampoon. And I basically read all of the 70s of back issues of National Lampoon. So that's where I really fell in love with Michael O'Donoghue, because I think a lot of what he was doing on television post SNL, even during it, but particularly near the end, he was pushing a little too hard, and it was a little too clumsy. I don't think he's necessarily made for television, Michael O'Donoghue. But
and on that note, everybody, on this episode of the Kulturecast, we're talking about Mr. Mike's Mondo video. I am still your host, Chris Stachiw, much to the chagrin of many. And if you don't know this lovely gentleman's voice, the fuck are you even doing here? He's one of the hosts of Noise Junkies. He hosts Midnight Viewing, a podcast that I enjoy being on because it's a lot of fun. Your friend and mine, Father Malone.
Book 'em, Dano. Murder one.
God damn. Hey, everybody, we got Dan. Hey, you know what? Hey, I just want to point something out. Dan Aykroyd shows his toes in this movie.
He does.
He does.
The best part of the movie.
And Kate goes, "Is that Dan Aykroyd's feet?" And I go, "Yeah, it is." He had, what is it?
Syndactylism.
Syndactylism.
That's the official. He doesn't call it that in the segment that he appears in it, where he's demonstrating his webbed toes. He has two.
Right.
Dan Aykroyd, just the two main toes beside the big toe. They are fused together up to a certain point. The actual piggy portion of the toes are free, but the rest of them are not free. They are fused together. The reason I know so much about syndactylism and was so blown away by seeing this segment for the first time is that I have the exact same condition.
Oh, I mean, I knew that, but I don't know if the audience knew. So it's like your weird kinship with Dan Aykroyd.
Oh my God, man. I literally thought I was a freak of nature. I thought I was part creature from the Black Lagoon. And
I mean,
well,
it does not to say you're not.
I finally understood why I was so adept at swimming. No, but I was probably 19 when I saw Mr. Mike's Mondo video for the first time, and that segment, like, it blew my mind. I grabbed a hold of anyone I could and said, like, I have that. That's
right.
My toe, So, a definite. Like, he was already my favorite cast member from Saturday Night Live. He was my favorite working comedian at that time. So, yeah, it was very heartening to learn he is a fellow genetic mutant.
Celebrity Mutations. Brought to you by Dan Aykroyd. If you can't tell on this episode of the Kulturecast, we are continuing You've Never Seen September, otherwise known as Sketch Comedy September this year, with a look at Michael O'Donoghue's Mr. Mike's Mondo video, yet another sketch comedy film.
Mr. Mike's Mondo video. Mr. Mike's Mondo Video, the television show that can't be shown on television, coming soon to your local theater.
Though on Wikipedia, this is not classified as a sketch comedy movie, which I find a tad strange because there is nothing about it that would lead me to believe it's not. This is not like is a hot dog a sandwich? It's like, this is a sketch comedy film.
Yeah, it's obviously a sketch comedy film.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they're objecting to the idea that it is a film.
Well, they still have film. It's a comedy collection of short vignettes. Well, we call those things films.
Yeah, I mean, it's, it wasn't a film necessarily, but it was, blown up to 35 and shown on, it was projected in theaters. You could pay to see this movie. So it is a theatrically released feature.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to be talking about Mr. Mike's Mondo video. So it came out in September 21st of 1979. It is written by Michael O'Donoghue, Mitch Glazer, Dirk Wittenborn, and Emily Prager, but it is directed by Michael O'Donoghue. I would even go as far as to say it's narrated by Michael O'Donoghue almost throughout. He shows up a lot to let you know that at some point, Mr. Mike's Mondo video will be starting, which is one of the great gags in the entire thing. Absolutely. Just like the glee that this man had every time he shot one of those. And then when he was editing it together, he's just like, yep, just fucking keep putting them in there. Who cares? Keep doing it. So yeah, it's a collection of vignettes. So like the last couple episodes we've done, not necessarily a through line here, not necessarily a plot or a narrative as it were, but a collection of vignettes that makes itself into a sketch comedy film. So Father Malone, as I always do, break it down for me. Tell me a little bit about Mr. Mike's Mondo video and your history with the film.
I already rambled on a little bit there at the top. I became a fan of O'Donoghue, when I was a teenager, basically. And not only like having read that book about Saturday Night Live, but before I even got to USC and was able to read what he had written, I was a huge fan of the movie Scrooged, the Bill Murray's version of A Christmas Carol. And that was written by Michael O'Donoghue. One of the few post SNL things that was a big success. So that I think so that was 88. I was 14 at the time. So that I think that's when I definitely became more interested in him. But it wouldn't be another 4 years until I could get my hands on Mr. Mike's Mondo video. It was one of these things I had read about, and I think I had seen clips of it on television somewhere.
Right.
But I hadn't sat down to watch the whole thing because even as late as 1990, it wasn't that easy to find these things. If your local video store didn't stock Mr. Mike's Mondo video, you were out of luck. And it wasn't showing up on NBC, certainly, as a rerun.
No. I mean, hey, for those of you that are listening that want to track this down, just go into the comments or go into the podcast description because it's on YouTube, folks. It's like an Indian cinema film. You can just go watch it for free. Something very democratizing about that, I feel,
Certainly how I watched it this morning. Although you could go buy it on Amazon Prime for $2, but
or you can buy the Shout Factory version.
Oh, the Shout Factory version exists.
Yes. Yeah. There is a Shout Factory version of this.
Wow. I don't want to own it, but good. I'm glad it's out there that if you're a big fan.
Whoa, hold on a second. So are you not a fan?
I'm a fan of what works.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan of what doesn't. And what does, honestly, look, let me just, here's the history of the show, right? Okay. So Michael O'Donoghue, I mentioned in a previous episode, we were talking about Chevy Chase when we were discussing the Groove Tube, Ken Shapiro's sketch comedy film. And in that, I mentioned that Chevy Chase was the first head writer on Saturday Night Live, and that's not true. The first official head writer on Saturday Night Live was, and always will be, Michael O'Donoghue. Chevy Chase basically held a unofficial position akin to Lorne Michaels in Lorne Michaels' in his mind, like that. He wasn't officially named the head of anything, but he had Lorne's ear, I guess is what I meant initially,
right,
in saying that. But okay, so Michael O'Donoghue's the head writer on the show, writes some of the best sketches on Saturday Night Live history, including the last voyage of the Starship Enterprise, the sketch. Everyone does their William Shatner impression, but they're doing Kevin Pollak's impression of William Shatner. If you want to see a fantastic dead-on impression of William Shatner, check out John Belushi's performance in this sketch where the NBC execs come and cancel Star Trek on the deck of the Enterprise to the crew. It's hilarious. So O'Donoghue,
you know whose impersonation of William Shatner I realize I do? Jim Carrey's impersonation of William Shatner. There's something on the wing.
Yeah, so you're doing the Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
and everyone else Star Trek.
Yeah, well, I mean,
yeah. I can see the variation there.
So does that mean then that most people who do a Chris Walken impersonation are more than likely doing a Kevin Pollak impersonation of Chris Walken? Because he's like the most famous one, interestingly, also.
He is the most famous one, but I don't think he's the one who broke that particular impression. Everyone sort of finds that impression after one guy does it. Like James Austin Johnson, I think his name is, on Saturday Night Live right now. He's the guy who finally broke the Trump impression.
Oh my God.
His is absolutely spot on, perfect.
Yeah.
And
he was doing it on YouTube for years.
Yeah, man. And he can converse in the character. He doesn't need a script to do it. So it's really, really good.
His bit about Donald Trump hating Scooby-Doo is beyond inspired. Beyond inspired.
Yeah. So Kevin Pollak's impression, like I said, is the most well-known, but I had seen his impression of Christopher Walken prior to Jay Moore's impression.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Jay Moore's, I think Kevin Pollak's actually has surpassed him now. I've told you before, I saw a live read of True Romance, the Quentin Tarantino script, and Kevin Pollak played the Christopher Walken part, doing an impression of Christopher Walken, but it was so note for note that had you closed your eyes, you would have thought Chris Walken was there. But Moore got there first. The weird paw thing and the highs and lows.
He also has a voice that I think is more Walken-esque. Like I have a very good friend whose voice just sounds like John Malkovich. He just sounds like he sounds like John Malkovich, and then he just pitches his voice down and it's there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's like,
it's just him talking a little lower.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Look, everyone gets famous on Saturday Night Live. Michael O'Donoghue is the first image on Saturday Night Live.
Right. He says the first line in SNL.
Yeah. He's in the very first sketch, with the Wolverine sketch with John Belushi. And he would appear sort of infrequently over the first season, mostly playing his Mr. Mike character, who's this like perverted guy who's telling these little girls horrible fairy tales, like for bedtime stories. He's always been a provocateur. He's always been the guy pushing the envelope and trying to get away with as much as he can and shock as many people as he can. And also doing it, for the most part, in a very erudite manner. Right. But everyone on that show sort of got famous, and I think he got a little bit bitter there, and by the end was just not having it anymore. But Saturday Night Live needed a replacement show, so they weren't just running reruns in the space between the live ones. So they offered O'Donoghue a chance to do this special with, I think, a potential to basically continue doing these as replacement shows.
Essentially Night Flight.
Yeah. And so this is what he did. He went off and made Mr. Mike's Mondo video, which was then immediately rejected, they say, by the censors. And they talk about it in the show, as a matter of fact. And what ended up happening is O'Donoghue and another fellow basically purchased the special back with an eye towards putting it in cinemas. And that's why we were able to talk about this theatrical cut of Mr. Mike's Mondo video, which I think they added like 10 minutes to or something like that.
Right.
And they added a short film, a Mr. Bill short, basically a compendium of all the Mr. Bill short films from Saturday Night Live, and tacked that on at the beginning so they could reach a 90-minute runtime for this movie. That's how we got here.
So what do you think about it? Because I am very curious.
Okay. So like I said, when I was younger, I was into sort of all the extreme things, right? Like, I love that Rocky Erickson had lost his mind and was in an asylum. Like, it was so cool, right? Like,
how subversive.
Exactly. And I loved Lenny Bruce and sort of the Richard Pryor and the edgier comedians and, anything sort of pushing an envelope. But I'm also attracted to, very smart like Andy Kaufman's kind of provocateur kind of a thing, like, pushing buttons as performance art. But also I was just an angry young man. So connecting to Michael O'Donoghue is very easy to do.
He's perpetual angry young man.
Yes. Yeah. And if you're a angry young fella and are of a certain bent, he speaks to you like none other. At least he did to me. But I gotta say, the spell was broken by his work here when I watched it for the first time, because the opening segment is this, and I know no one was harmed in the segment, but it's a school for teaching cats to swim.
Oh my God! Oh my, we're just, man. You know the term "starting out hot"? They're starting out fiery in this movie.
You know what? He succeeded, obviously, because his intention was to enrage people like me, and it worked then. I mean, I see it now for what it actually is. But at the time, I was like, fuck you, Michael O'Donoghue. Like, you've gone too far throwing cats into pool. And delight. And the segment goes on way too long. Like, that's why I even at the time, I thought, well, he's just delighting it. This is reveling in how uncomfortable these animals are. And I just can't get behind it at all. I mean, it turns out that all of those cats were like cat actors.
Right.
Like they hired, those cats were well acquainted with swimming. Like they said they like filmed them all day, just basically swimming from one end of the pool to the other, the cats were happily doing it, but that was not his intent. It's not how it comes off.
And boy, I think my singular criticism against Mr. Mike's Mondo video is even I like a good joke that goes too long. But my friend, you can't go that long.
And he does it a lot.
In masturbatory levels of doing it a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it is this sort of, I want to make you uncomfortable. It's like,
right.
Look, he would have fit in very well over at Adult Swim.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, there are so many people right now that I have such a love and affinity for who I wonder. And I don't wonder, I'm sure some of them are on interview saying it, but if given the opportunity to talk to a Tim Heidecker or an Eric Wareheim or an Eric Andre, hey, I have to assume you've seen this. I have to assume you know Michael O'Donoghue's body of work and you've seen these kinds of things. Because again, they're doing it. They're doing a much more nuanced version of it, I think, is maybe the nicest way of putting it. But all of this stuff has to come from somewhere. Not everybody landed it the first time. Not everybody nailed it the first time they made it, but somebody had to see something else and keep that ball going. And that's the way I look at Eric Andre and Tim Heidecker and Eric Wareheim. Because, I mean, ultimately, they lend a lot of their credit to someone like Tom Green. And, and Tom Green lent his credit to someone like Andy Kaufman. So we all feed off of one another, And Mr. Mike's Mondo video is no different. It's just a link in a chain. It is not the end of the chain. That is clear. And it could have been if it had been more focused.
And yeah, focused. Absolutely. Because what the folks you just mentioned, like Tim and Eric and these guys, like they're focused on making you uncomfortable as well. But they're not just going to swing a sledgehammer to do it, which Michael O'Donoghue had no problem at all. He does not have a problem trotting out Nazism as a means of shocking you. And, his parents, not his parents specifically, but like the generation previous to him, they fought that war and then turned into the most boring generation of all time in the 1950s. So like, I understand his rage and I understand his willingness to shock them any way you can. But at a certain point, it just becomes self-sabotage. Like, of course this was not going on. Like, you can blame the censors, like it's too edgy for network television or something, but maybe it was just too long and poorly edited, and they let the censors tell you that it was their call.
And ultimately, I think in a lot of ways, it's not very entertaining either, because it can't get out of its own way. And in a lot of ways, some of the people that we've talked about on this show, you and I specifically, Michael O'Donoghue, Dan O'Bannon, couldn't get out of their own way. It's like, hey, you can't get out of your way long enough to figure out a way to make some of these things work for you the way other people have. And it is what it is. Ultimately, I mean, like anything else in the industry, like there are so many different kinds of personalities that exist within the industry. But yeah, it's hard to watch something like this and not go, well, this could have been better if you had just made a concerted effort to focus.
Well, because when it relaxes and just tells us a sketch or some ridiculous premise and eases up on the, I am going to grab you by the lapels and slam your face into the television screen and wake you up, man. When he's not doing that, like the Jack Lord sketch, first of all, I should point out the framework of this is based on Mondo Cane. It was an Italian film from the early, one of these travelogue things where they travel the globe, showing you the weird rituals and rites of other cultures. It's always just an excuse to show snuff films and
people eating weird stuff at the time.
Weird stuff and boobs, like that. But I think that movie.
These tribal women are engaging in what some would call a traditional dance. Yes, they are topless.
Yeah, exactly. And so he does that a lot in the special where they'll cut to, random shots like this bizarre thing, So it is supposed to be this travelogue kind of a setup, but again, it's a little too much. I got to shock you guys. But anyway, there's a parody of like a group of religious nuts who have adopted Jack Lord from Hawaii Five-0 as their god. And you've got Dan Aykroyd as their preacher, preaching the word of Jack Lord. And it's all quotes from the show. And it's all like scenarios directly from the show. And that to me, he's just telling a funny bit, O'Donoghue. And that one works for me. It still goes on too long.
God, it goes on.
I don't need to hear the whole hymn that he's written. Maybe 2 lines.
Ain't no cess like excess, baby. That's what it feels like. It's like too much of a good thing, or too much of a great thing, but good thing is a bad thing. And this almost feels like the poster child for that. Like, how can you justify some of these jokes going for 2 or 3 minutes longer than they needed to? It's like the concept didn't have that strong of legs.
No, and the ironic part of it is that if he had abandoned keeping these sketches going ad nauseum and instead focused on little punchy bits in this, because he's got the setup to just cut away whenever he wants to. Like he can just jump to a punchline, and it can just be jump to something shocking, but like quantity would have been quality here.
One of the best gags in this entire movie is, and next, how they celebrate Christmas on other planets.
I love that. That weird, that costume. That was great. I agree with it.
But it's like literally 2 seconds. It's literally 2 seconds. Like, and that's it. It's hard for me to go, well, yeah, that's funny. And that's 1/100th of the runtime of this thing when we have to sit through. Yeah. Again, I think the cat swimming thing is funny only because of where the joke ends up going, which is, and they also have cat hang gliding. Which, I mean...
Cat hang gliding was funny too. But we could have gone there immediately. Throw 1 cat in. Okay, 2 cats to prove that you're actually doing it. All right, quick montage of them swimming. Cut to hang gliding.
I wonder if Weird Al saw this bit, if it inspired at all the Raoul's flying, you know what I'm talking about, from UHF? Where the guy's just hucking the dogs off the top of the building.
Do not remember that part.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to teach Chihuahuas how to fly. And he's just tossing dogs out of the top. And it's the same thing. I mean, in UHF, they actually show the dogs flying out the window and hitting the ground. So, they get more mileage out of it than this does. I think this is the right way to do it, where it just cuts away. I mean, it's just fucking hilarious. Like, I was laughing through that whole, like, deleted by the network. Because, I mean, again, like, that's a great gag. But yeah, maybe cut back the first 10 minutes of the cat swimming in a pool.
Yeah, well, the crazy thing is, the entire program is like an hour 10.
It don't feel like it.
Yeah, like, why are you padding an hour 10? Like, I mean, look, this was his point of view. I can't fault him for doing what he wanted to do. He clearly had total control over this.
Oh, 100%.
But it is not getting out of your own way, because if he had just focused up a little, he could have kept jabbing week after week, or month after month, rather, with this. He's got his own like showcase on network television. There were only 3 at the time. If you want to get your word out there, there's only a couple of venues. And here he's got carte blanche to do this thing. And instead he's just like, well, fuck you all.
That's what it feels like. It verges on cringe, like genuinely cringy humor, because he just takes it too far. He's like that one friend who takes a joke way too far. And it's like, not too far as in like he goes too far with it, but he just keeps bringing it up, keeps repeating. It's like, dude, it was funny maybe the first time, but not the 5th time.
Yeah, Yeah, I don't want to say I feel sorry for him in certain places, but I kind of feel sorry for him in certain places. It's just like you're pushing way too hard. You're just trying too hard to shock me right now. You feel like Marilyn Manson.
Yeah. And that is a thing. Like, I feel like I have heard when I have shown it to other people, something like a Tim and Eric or an Eric Andre, where it's like, it kind of seems like they're trying too hard. But like, again, I feel like that sentiment may also be subjective, obviously. I mean, I don't know if it is subjective. I mean, I feel like cringe and uncomfortableness is a universal human trait that we can all feel. But I mean, some people enjoy it more than others, I guess. But I feel like we all have a pretty good indicator of something being kind of cringy or forcing its point a little too much.
Yeah, we get it. You're sitting in a room full of bunnies with a pistol in your hand.
I mean, I liked. Look, he's a fan of juxtaposition. Yeah,
right. Absolutely.
I appreciate that as a man, as a juxtaposition man myself. I'm a fan.
I'm just saying, like, that sums it up, though. It works in that moment, but like. As a statement, that's Michael O'Donoghue right there. Like, right. He's the embodiment of the National Lampoon cover. Buy this magazine or we'll shoot this dog. Like,
right. He might wear a suit, but he's going to wear red fucking Converse or the most obnoxious possible thing with it to point out the fact that he doesn't like wearing a suit.
I believe at one point he was misquoted in some magazine and called them back and it called the female editor and left a message saying, like, I'd come down there and kick you in the cunt, but I don't want to ruin the shine on my shoes. He was not,
sounds like a real pip of a guy.
Yeah, I couldn't one day Garrett Morris had written a sketch and gave it to O'Donoghue to give him notes back, and O'Donoghue like held it out like it stank, and he went, "Oh, it's real good, Garrett," and just dropped it into a trash can and walked away. Like, not a nice fella.
Oh, that's real cunty behavior. But at the same time,
hey man,
Chevy Chase.
Yeah, right. A lot of people were acting like cunts and had nothing to back it up. Well, not that Chevy Chase didn't. I'm just saying.
I mean, I think it was people were acting like cunts and did have things to back it up. And that's the problem. That's why you tolerate someone who's a cunt like this. It's because, okay, yeah, Christian Bale might be kind of a twat, but I mean, look at the performances you get out of it. And you can get you can get one of those every couple, decade or two. And it makes it okay. I get okay is subjective, but you know what I mean? More acceptable because he's just he's a creative type and they're kind of bristling.
Right. I think with O'Donoghue, you wouldn't want to be within 10 feet of him there.
Oh, you think so?
Like at any time. Like with Christian Bale, that seemed like a situation where he had just had enough of that. He
seems kind of prickly though, I think in general.
It does seem prickly, but like that also seemed like he was pushed there. Whereas it seems like you could be sitting in a room with O'Donoghue and he would suddenly go off about something.
Well, it sure seems like that with the content of this.
Yeah. Did you ever see A Futile and Stupid Gesture?
I did not. And I was going to ask, I'm assuming he's in that. And I also assume that he's in the Doug Kenny movie as well, right?
Well, The Futile and Stupid Gesture is the Doug Kenny movie.
No, I'm talking about the...
Oh, Drunk Stoned, Brilliant Drunk Stoned Dead?
Yeah. Or is A Futile and Stupid Gesture, which one is the narrative?
It's Drunk, Stoned, Brilliant, Dead. The narrative with Will Forte is A Futile and Stupid.
Okay, so I have not seen that one, but I have seen the documentary.
The documentary is fantastic. I would recommend that out of hand over the narrative film. And
I do like Will Forte.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty rough things said about that film, but as a fan of all of those people at all of this time, like all of these subversive comedians, these counterculture and college humor years, I think it's pretty great. And Will Forte is really good as Doug Kenny, through the years.
Right.
He does a fantastic job. But they also managed to cast the perfect human being to play Michael O'Donoghue, Thomas Lennon from Reno 911.
I can see that.
Oh my, is he good? Just you can see the simmering mania just under the cultured veneer.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Thomas
I recommend
Lennon.
That movie's really funny. Like I said, it's not what it could have been. It's not as maybe as witty as it could have been as a representative of Doug Kenny as a human being, or rather his work, but it is a very, very funny film. I think it's very informative, and I laughed a lot watching it. So
No, I'll have to check it out. Like I said, I watched the documentary. I am a fan of, I think we talked about this in the last episode. I am a fan of SNL. I think the problem with SNL, me being a fan of SNL is like me being a fan of The Simpsons. Like, I remember when I used to like it a lot, and now it's really hard to enjoy it because it just feels like I wouldn't say a shell of its former self, because I think that's a little too pejorative for something like SNL and The Simpsons, things that are pretty big in terms of their comedy footprint. I think they're poor facsimiles of a version of a show that I recognize as being funny, like, or is recognized widely as being funny. Like, and I've heard that, The Simpsons every now and then has one or two good episodes, and I hear the same thing about SNL. And
well, let me counter, because I'm not a fair weather SNL fan. I watch every season, year in, year out. And
wild man, Father Malone here.
It is no, you know what? The show, it's got an incredible mutability in its tried and true framework. It's constantly evolving, and there's constant fresh blood, and that doesn't mean that there won't be a season or two in a row where it seems to be foundering and flailing. But first of all, those can be some of the most amusing seasons because you get to see some really weird stuff. Right. And what those eventually end up as like a cast like the Will Ferrell cast or the Dana Carvey cast. Like the Dana Carvey, that reinvention that year when it was the second year Lorne Michaels had taken back over the show after the Ebersol and Doumanian year. That previous season was a shambles. Mm-hmm. So it's been rising and falling in quality ever since day one. And we've talked about this in previous episodes when we were talking about the Groove Tube. Go back and watch the first couple of seasons of Saturday Night Live in their entirety, if you can find them, because like if you go on Paramount or something to watch them, that you're getting the truncated versions, because of music clearances and stuff. But sometimes you can tell it's cut for quality. I know certain sketches were in certain episodes and those are no longer there. Why? Because they're boring. There are sketches that it's like 15, 20 minutes, it seems, where, it's just light, humor, nothing ha funny.
Well, we've said it with, Tales from the Crypt. Like, I don't expect that every episode is going to be good.
Yeah. I mean, that's
shows without a narrative through line. It's hard for them to consistently be good because shows with a narrative through line tend to have a thing that they're building towards, and shows that are just shows are all over the place. I mean, even a fucking sitcom is just all from one episode to the next. Like, everything's set back to the way it was. So, which means we have a blank slate every time, which means we don't have to make progress, which means we could just be funny. And therefore it's going to be all over it's just, they're just trying to be funny. They're really not doing anything else. Just like with The Simpsons. Simpsons is not doing anything other than being funny. There's never been some grand underpinning narrative of The Simpsons. That's the success of it. That's the timelessness of it.
But I would say the difference between Saturday Night Live reaching a point where it's no longer good and then coming back and being good again is a possibility, whereas a narrative show, even episodic like The Simpsons, where, like you said, like it is situation comedy. Now we start back from where we were at the beginning of the last.
Homer's not still an astronaut.
Right. But by the time Homer became an astronaut, that was part of how spun out and ridiculous the show had become. And that was part of the joke. And then once you get to that point, there's a certain point where the genie is out of the bottle and it no longer matters that they don't have enough money to pay the mortgage, which was a very important part of The Simpsons in the first
goddamn episode.
Oh my God.
Simpsons roasting over an open fire is literally about the fact that they can't afford gifts for their children for Christmas.
There are heartbreaking episodes of The Simpsons in the first couple of seasons. Very human drama-led episodes of The Simpsons.
The Lisa's Teacher episode?
Oh my God. Yeah. Jesus Christ. And then at a certain point, it became a joke machine. And that's fine because, Cheers with Diane and Cheers with Rebecca are two different shows, tonally, comedic, it's a goofball show you haven't seen Cheers.
I've never seen a singular episode.
God. Okay. Anyway, let's just say that the first season of the show and the last season of the show are wildly different in not quality, but just in content, like The Simpsons. So point being, you can give me a hilarious, fantastic Simpsons episode now. It's still not going to have the same impact as when I was worried about them, having enough money to get presents for the kids.
Right. And it's harder now to weasel and wheedle your way into pop culture and stick. You know, there was a time where SNL was like it in terms of like mainstream subversive comedy. And there was a time where The Simpsons was kind of it in terms of mainstream subversive comedy, not even cartoon comedy, just comedy. Like that is so not the case anymore. Like it's to say we're in a land of riches is to be fucking like very subtle about it. We are able to watch anything and everything that's ever been invented as up until this point, essentially for the most part, and the things that we can't. You really worried about seeing them? Are you worried about living your life, not being able to see The Day the Clown Cried?
Well, yes, you pick the one that actually matters.
No. But there's plenty of things that don't matter, is my point. Like the one thing that does, obviously, but there's so much that doesn't. And it's like, but we can see essentially all of it.
Yeah, man, I don't need to see anything from Dobie Gillis. You know, I don't need to rewatch anything from Gilligan's Island. I'm good.
Right. And but again, like we have such a breadth of riches at this point. It's hard to be like, oh, well, I'm going to go watch a new episode of SNL. It's like, I'll just go watch an old episode. Or I'll just go watch an old episode of The Simpsons because those things still exist. And I again, appreciate and understand that there are fans of it now. But, you know, again, it's just sometimes you're part of the zeitgeist and other times you're still in it, but you're not the focus. SNL was the focus of a zeitgeist for a while, and so was The Simpsons.
No, but SNL can refocus and become the zeitgeist again.
It did in 2016 with fucking with Baldwin and Trump. Baldwin doing the Donald Trump impersonation.
It did in the 90s. It did in the 80s. It will and will continue to because, you know, the format is sound and the format, allows for innovation.
And I don't think if this had continued, this would have the way that SNL did.
If what? Mike's Mondo video?
Yeah, had become the thing that they were theoretically trying to turn it into.
Well, I think the funny bits where he doesn't have an axe to grind with the world are funny. So
yeah, agreed. But are they as funny as something like a Scott Free?
No.
Does this ever the height that this hits is what comparative to, or no, on its own, and then maybe even comparative to things we've already seen.
There's no real laugh out loud moments here.
I think it's the one that we've already mentioned. This is Christmas on Another Planet.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, you're right. That was just so odd.
Yeah.
What's sad about it is like he could have just leaned into the oddity of it all, but again, like he can't just show us what Christmas is like on Another Planet. He has to show us Nazi oven mitts. He's just got to show the swastika because it's going to shock his dad. You know, it feels that lame sometimes. Like fuck you, mom, fuck you, dad.
Yeah, I'm going to do what it's not just a phase.
Yeah, and you know what? There's a nobility to rebellion, right? There's a nobility to pushing the boundaries. But if it's as scattershot as it is here, where it's as long as you're shocked, as long as I'm eliciting some horrible response from you, like that equals the thing. I don't know. It's just,
to what end is the question I always ask.
It's tiresome.
Right. To what end is never answered here. It's just like it's like that one kid in class who just makes noise. You know, just like that there were kids in class that were the class clowns, and then there were kids in class that thought they were the class clown. And the kid that thought he was the class clown hit it every now and then. And I'm not saying Michael O'Donoghue is that, but Michael O'Donoghue benefited from having other people around him, having other people to diffuse his ideas through. I mean, there are plenty creatives that are the same way, that the moment they no longer have that thing, it's like, uh-oh, Tarantino, looking at you. I mean, it's like that. It's like that question of like, is it better to have someone with you that can look at what you've done and interpret it and give you notes? Or is it better just say, you get to do whatever you want and we're just going to let you do it? It's like, because sometimes they do both work, but it tends to be closer to the center of the two, less other ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. This is sad to say, but I guess true. Somebody like O'Donoghue needs somebody directly over him pushing against him.
He does.
Like he needs to have the fight before they film anything. The fight does not need to be the film itself.
Right. Right. I don't know what Michael O'Donoghue would be doing now in 2023. Like if he was still around, because obviously, I mean, he passed away pretty early. I mean, he passed away in the mid 90s again, 94. So he was 54, youngish guy, would have been in his, we were like Chevy Chase at this point, like in his mid 70s, early 80s. I wonder what he would be doing now if there would have been an appreciation for his kind of comedy again. Or if he would have changed with the times maybe and maybe updated his shit a little bit and focused it a little bit more.
I could never prognosticate where his career would have led him had he continued to survive. I definitely would have been interested, but I do agree that had he lived and continued to work in any capacity, or even if he hadn't worked again, if he had just retired and been bitter by himself somewhere, I think by now he would have been honored and cheered by the generations, like it would have been easier for them to recognize what an influence he was if he were still around. That's really weird to say.
But it's the truth.
It is the truth.
He's not here to advocate for himself in a lot of ways.
Correct. That's the sad part of it, I guess.
I mean, I feel the same way about, I wonder if you feel the same way about Michael O'Donoghue that I do about Bill Hicks. It's like if this guy was around right now, there are certain people that are working right now that would never be able to do what they're doing because he would have made it so that he was the only one doing it. And I see a lot of that in Michael O'Donoghue where it's like he would have been the guy doing the thing. He would have figured it out and he would have been the guy doing the thing. I believe that because people like Michael O'Donoghue, yes, for all of his bristliness, he still could not be stopped and he still got this made. Hell or fucking high water.
Absolutely. And there's no question he was phenomenally talented and was a point of view that is absolutely necessary. I think Bill Hicks is a pretty good analog to him, actually. He's the same level of anger, the same level of wit that the anger comes funneled through. I think Bill Hicks is a little more nuanced in the delivery of that as a performer.
Agreed.
Once again, if you read O'Donoghue's stuff, it's more impactful, at least to me, than any of his performance stuff, including any of the video stuff. Although, if you want to see something really good, anytime he did his, O'Donoghue used to do impressions. Like what would the Mormon Tabernacle Choir sound like if they had spikes driven directly into their eyes? I think it would sound a little something like this. And then he would scream at blood-curdling screams. He was not without his performing charms, but
man knew how to sell an audience on an idea.
Yeah, he was but a fierce writer, a terrible filmmaker, clearly. He's got the Ken Shapiro syndrome where he thinks he knows what he wants. And I will say that this was actually more stylish than Ken Shapiro's foray into.
Yes. This didn't feel so fucking pared down.
Not at all.
Or I could go as far as to say, and I don't want to feel like we're piling on the Groove Tube from Beyond the Grave, but the more I watch everything else other than the Groove Tube, I realize how cheap the Groove Tube looked.
Yeah, and by the way, this looks incredibly cheap. This was shot on video.
Yep.
And he does this crazy thing where he uses for establishing shots B-roll of film. So you're constantly getting this switching of film stocks that, like, he doesn't even make a joke of it. He just expects us to believe that shot of Holland is the same, like the entrance to the YMCA that we're now seeing shot on video. It's very poor. And evidently, what I hadn't considered is, so this was shitty, grainy video stock that they then blew up to 35 millimeter to project on a 20-foot screen. It must have looked like garbage in the cinema.
You were stoned and drunk. Did it really matter?
Maybe not.
I mean, that's the question. Because again, like, who was this for at the time? And
this was for Michael O'Donoghue. That's who.
Well, other than for him, it's for people that he thought he could make laugh. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that a lot of people at the time who were enjoying these kinds of things weren't your straight-laced motherfuckers.
That's true. Look, there's an entire segment of comedy fans out there who probably felt like Saturday Night Live was weak.
Yeah, this is some pussy shit.
Yeah, that's badass for mom pop America, but I've been listening to fucking George Carlin for the past 15 years.
Well, and that's what I wonder if I had been around during the time of SNL, how I would have felt about it, because I am such a huge fan of Carlin and pushing the comedic envelope. And while I do see that SNL was doing it, like, in a lot of ways, it did feel a little pastoral and a little quaint. Because again, they had to be as subversive as they could without pushing away the quaint audience, which is the magic of SNL, really, is that they were able to do both things.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget that, Lorne Michaels is a sentimental fella as well. Like, he wasn't there just to shock America or the TV watching public. He was there to entertain them as well. There were musical guests on the show, right. And sometimes they were acts you would have heard of and would never have gotten a chance to be on television. But, Paul Simon is there,
Right.
So there's as much comfort from SNL as anything. Like, the entire purpose of comedy is as a release valve. Like, and I think the show manages to represent all of the different comedic point of views. Very silly, or very pointed, very, very smart, and also very, very angry. What Michael O'Donoghue's problem is, he doesn't realize he's a card in a deck. He just thinks he's a dealer. And when you give him the position of dealer, then he thinks, oh, well, here we go. Now everyone's ready for my brand of humor. And not everyone is, Michael. Certainly there are enough of us out there who would like it more refined instead of as scattershot as he was doing it. But we're out there, but it ain't everyone. And there's no reason to bite everyone.
Yeah, there's no need to be an equal opportunity offender with something like this. Like there is, but there isn't. Like, again, like you have swastikas, so you've effectively offended everyone. So other than the people that you don't care if you didn't offend them being neo-Nazis. So like, I don't know, like it is bizarre to me because, again, to your point, at some point you've got to ask yourself, like, am I a slave to the master here of like trying to be offensive? Or is there a point to be made? And I feel like Michael O'Donoghue never asked himself that question. And you see it.
I agree with you. I don't think that
never crossed his fucking mind once.
No, he was fighting the good fight from day one. He was railing against everything. And how you do that any way you can, even at your own detriment. Maybe at your own detriment is even more noble.
And that is the question that I wonder, because again, you go out of your way to include musical acts in this movie, but they're the kind of musical act that would repulse people that watch SNL. Rude Boy Slim. I mean, I'm a fan. He's fine. Maybe not completely my cup of tea, but he would never be on SNL.
Yeah, they also cut in a segment from The Great Rock and Roll Swindle, Julian Temple's film about the Sex Pistols. They cut in the My Way sequence from Sid Vicious. Like, Sid Vicious on the poster, like, and Sid Vicious. This came out after his death, so it's like, a little bit of a sensationalism, like, come see Sid. But then there's this bait and switch because you get the visual, but none of the audio, because in a crawl that they put across the screen in this audio-free zone of Sid Vicious just acting like a nut on stage, they let us know that the estate of Paul Anka would not allow the song to be used in any capacity. Except, of course, it was used in the capacity in the film that this movie was taken from. So I have to wonder, was it a rights issue at all? Or was it just O'Donoghue saying, fuck you once again?
That was the way I read it, was a fuck you once again. Again, because I feel like he's, he might not be Andy Kaufman, but he lives the bit. He is living the bit. And I think that that's the, I don't know, you mentioned kind of, fighting the good fight from day one. Like you can be fighting the good fight from day one, but you don't have to be fighting a good fight every waking moment of your life. And that's the problem. It feels like Michael O'Donoghue didn't understand that you don't always have to be carrying the spear. It's not a requirement. You can wait back and let other people do some of the heavy lifting for you.
Do you know that when Lorne Michaels left the show, Gene Dumanian took over as the producer, and that was a disastrous year. And then Dick Ebersol took over, and he brought in O'Donoghue to run the show. So there's this famous story of the cast all gathered together, including Catherine O'Hara, who had come down from Second City Television. She was going to join the cast, and O'Donoghue came in basically screaming about that the show needed a Viking funeral, that they were going to go out in a blaze of glory, which probably as a new cast member you don't want to hear about. How the leader of the show wants to burn the whole thing to the ground. He then says, he said something to the effect of, you know what the show is missing? And then spray painted the word danger on the wall, and then gave them all markers and stuff and encouraged them to all, mark up the place. It's just so who, what is this?
Chill out, bro.
Yeah, man.
Take a fucking lute or something. Like, for real, bro. Like, chill the fuck out. Like, I can yell with the best of them and scream and shout, but like, dude, you don't have to be hoarse. Like,
so
even
after,
Bill Hicks understood that. Bill Hicks didn't scream throughout his entire act. This is like, you can't scream through your entire act, dude, because if you scream through your entire act, there's only one act a week. You can only do it once a week if you're screaming, bro. You can't do it.
O'Donoghue's screaming from the get-go, right?
Right. He never stopped himself.
And if you give him a megaphone, he just screams louder. After all of these debacles, Lorne Michaels takes the show back over in 85, rehires O'Donoghue as a writer. O'Donoghue writes a monologue for Chevy Chase that basically begins, right after I stopped doing cocaine, I turned into a garden slug. And for the life of me, I can't tell why. Like, that was not used, obviously. But like, it's just like to the end, just fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. He was fired like a month later after that.
You know, everything and I read and everything I can see from what he did and what he presented himself as part of, it's just, dude, you're trying 5% too much.
Right.
But that 5% is a lot. That's 1%. And those 1% for whatever reason with you, my friend, are a lot. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, again, like as a creative type, I feel a kinship, obviously, as do you, to someone like this, because I wonder that about myself. Like, am I too much? Like, again, and I don't think I sit and fight the good fight like this every day. But I wonder that about myself sometimes, because again, it's hard to get caught up and to see yourself in perspective, self-awareness of where you are in the grand scheme of things. Michael O'Donoghue did not see where he was, unfortunately.
No, he never saw an opportunity he didn't want to fuck up immediately.
Right. Self-destructive.
Yeah. And you know what? That bit has its place, but like...
It's not a bit, though, man. That's his life.
Yeah, but his life was the bit, right? Like,
I mean, the guy ended up dying because he had migraines. Like,
he had a cerebral hemorrhage. So there you go. Like,
if you're not living the bit, I mean, you're kind of right.
And he was living the bit. He was, like I told you, like his behavior in person was the same as it was in the comedy. It was very angry and get the fuck away from me and you're all idiots.
What do you think he was like in private? Do you think he was actually like that in private?
No, I bet when he was with close people, I bet he was very nice and sweet, actually.
Yeah, same.
I guarantee you, like when he was alone with like Ann Beats, I bet he was the best boyfriend ever.
He was married for 11 years.
Yeah. Like I guarantee you he was a fucking teddy bear if you were in the circle. But even that circle was not going to be immune. You know, if he needed to kick somebody, you get the idea that you were getting kicked because you were there.
And in a lot of ways, he wasn't going to be nice about it.
Oh no, he wasn't
going to grant you any sort of, I don't know, gentleness because you're his friend.
Yeah, no.
Which I think is the difference that sets someone like that apart from other people that aren't like.
I would imagine as a friend of his, it would be worse because it would probably involve some intimate knowledge of you that you had provided.
Oh yeah, he's probably one of those types. Jeez.
Oh yeah.
Oh, insufferable.
It's one thing I'm going to come and kick you in the cunt. Like, okay, fine, whatever. Like, you're just another voice on the phone. But like, my God, imagine being friends with him and he slices you that way. My God.
Yeah. No, that sounds like an exhausting friendship and an exhausting person to be around. But again, I can't imagine that he couldn't have been like that. No. It's just like, dude, you don't have to try so hard and put on the airs constantly. Even Ken Shapiro let himself have some fun in all of this. And Michael O'Donoghue is just not interested in that. If
you want to see a great interview with him, he did one in 1977. You can find it on YouTube where he and John Belushi are being interviewed together. The interviewer does one of these bullshit like, so tell me, are there any like recreational substances being used, to help the creative process? And O'Donoghue's like, well, marijuana. Yeah, we smoke a lot of marijuana. And yeah, it works. And this is 1977 on television. Sometimes that will to self-sabotage is actually pretty great, Like,
right.
Yeah, don't dick around and be coy about the fact that we're all getting high and that we're not, indulging in the possibility that that's fueling our creativity. That is what's happening. And we're doing good work.
You talking about us or them?
Both.
I mean, you're totally right though. It's just, it's this idea of, I can't, man, we all know somebody like this that just cannot get out of their own way.
No.
And again, like, this isn't the person that's stumbling and falling in their own way. This is the person that just keeps standing in their own way, just jumping in front of themselves. And it's hard to see it as in a creation because, it's like, man, you're getting right up to the point of this being a joke. And then it just fucking falls apart almost every time. It's more shocking when it doesn't.
It's like he's building an elaborate door that leads to a brick wall.
Ultimate fuck you.
Yeah, and then he just runs head first. He isn't this? Look at the molding here. Isn't this amazing? Let me open the door, and immediately smacks his face into the wall,
and then keeps going for the bit, for the gag, for the bit. Man, God. So I do come back to my question. What is the highest moment? Because we talked about the highest moment in Kentucky Fried, which I think is scot-free. What is the peak of Mr. Mike's Mondo video?
I think for me, it's the Jack Lord sketch. Actually, there's one other bit where he's managed to recruit basically every female who came close to Saturday Night Live studios at 8H, where it's women describing all these horrible traits of men, like as if it's a turn on. And I think that's really, really funny because I always think it's funny when, like, to me, it seems like that's the only way to get a guy to change and, behave like a decent human is if a woman calls out that behavior. And so this was, I thought, very, very clever.
I like that. I like that bit. I think I like the crowd scene take one a fair amount. I feel like that is a Tim and Eric Andre level of thing. Like the joke that they're going for and what it is just the ultimate of like horseshit anticlimax joke. But at the end of it, when it starts fading to black, I was like, yo, you sons of bitches. Like it's perfect. It might be perfect. And it's not Michael O'Donoghue at all. So
yeah, isn't that Ernie Forselius?
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Okay. Ernie Ford Forselius, who did Hardware Wars, and
which is, oh my God, Augie Bendoggy.
Yeah.
Hardware Wars is fucking great.
Have you seen his parody of Apocalypse Now, Porklips Now? Oh my God, seek it out immediately. It's really funny.
It's hilarious because again, it succeeds in what it's going for, and it's universal in what it's going for. I feel like the joke is universal.
The joke is, if you haven't seen the movie, and you probably haven't, he's just set up a camera, and it's just slice of life stuff. People like coming and going, and the cars passing. And then he's layered in as if he's directing the scene. So let's get that brown car in here. Brown car. Okay, keep going, brown car. Brown car, what are you doing? Get out of the frame. All right, let's get that couple come in from the left. So it's just commenting on the action, but it's remarkably nuanced, and I don't know how it keeps eliciting laughs, but you're right. It's the funniest thing in the entire show, and it's not Michael O'Donoghue's.
It's funny because it's not funny at all. Like,
yeah. Maybe.
There's nothing about it that realistically should be funny, but yet it is hilarious because like you said, it's just what it's going for is immediately received. I will say the human hot plate thing is funny, but again, it's like the Christmas is on other planets. It's like it's such a quick gag that okay, it was 2 seconds, so it doesn't hit the highs of Scot-Free, but nothing has this month. So
no, and you get to see. By the way, the other thing I liked in the Jack Lord sketches. That everyone has a terrible Jack Lord wig.
Oh my God.
Including Paul the Shiv Schaefer, who is the music accompanist, playing the organ back there.
Look, I think the reason that sketch works for me, and yes, it is a little long, the reason it works is obviously one, Mr. Aykroyd.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he
committed
commits.
to that.
Oh, God damn. That, say what you will about Dan Aykroyd, but like the man gives it his all.
Yeah, I you know what? Every one of those pitchmen, I believe, could be a pitchman for that product. And like this church, I would believe that guy is the preacher there. In fact, that preacher made me want to attend services there. I might not understand it at first. Certainly, my knowledge of Hawaii Five-0 is limited, but I would get it eventually.
That is of the Michael O'Donoghue extended sketches, that is the one that works the most for me.
Yep. The other thing I like, and it's on display here, is they keep using these little models as establishing shots. So like at one point in another sketch, they're saying like they're their fishing boats were smashed, and it's clearly just two little handmade fishing boats, like in the foreground or like on a beach. So I don't know. I like any little handmade stuff like that. So here, the Jack Lord Temple, it's just like a model of a convention center that's been thatched over, like all teakified as if it's Hawaii Five-0 related, and they put like a siren on top. I like that sketch overall. It's the problem is that the song goes on and on and on.
Right. You didn't like the stop motion dinosaurs?
Those are okay. Those became funnier where his voiceover comes on at the end and goes, well, these dinosaurs that don't look very good.
Yeah, no, man. Yeah, no, I have a soft spot in my heart for something like this that is such kind of like a weird mishmash of things that work and things that don't. Because, not everything works and not everything is going to land. So I'm a fan of these kinds of things. Groove Tube, obviously, I think this shares a lot in common with. But yeah, no, this is singularly Michael O'Donoghue. And when it isn't, it's kind of good, which is kind of a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, he needed to have focused up, or he needed somebody to have focused him up. It doesn't, like, I don't want to harp on this too much, but like, as much as he was attempting stuff with the camera and got some interesting compositions here and there, he's not a filmmaker.
Right.
Even if he's going to shoot it on video, like a filmmaker would have said, let's get video footage of these establishing shots so everything looks of a piece, No. A filmmaker would have said, this is too long. Let's try this instead, but again, it's O'Donoghue. What were you going to do?
What if it had been John Landis?
See, that's what I'm thinking, because
yeah, that's why I was wondering if that's where you were going.
The stark difference between Groove Tube and Kentucky Fried Movie, that like putting aside the quality of the writing or performing, like it's night and day. The visuals, like you can watch Kentucky Fried Movie even if you
I had a friend watch it in the last week, and he was like, I watched it. I'd never seen it. I really enjoyed it. And I was like, that feels like, if anything, a glowing testament to the timelessness of the Zuckums brothers.
Yes, exactly. But again, Landis's involvement here. And I don't think Landis would have ever been involved. I imagine he and Michael O'Donoghue probably wouldn't have gotten together.
Oil and fucking water, baby.
Yeah.
No way they would have got along. Too big of personalities.
Yeah. Plus Landis was involved with the Blues Brothers, like he went off with Belushi and them, like. And there were camps, or us and them camps there at Saturday Night Live.
Well, medium level talents went off and did their own things.
Some of them.
Michael O'Donoghue feeling left out, I get it. But bro, you just look bad in the end, not them. That's always the way it is, right? Like you can't change what you can't change, but you can't make it your life's goal to let everybody know how pissed off you are.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I don't know how much his anger was a reaction to anything. I think his anger was bubbling up from day one,
right.
Like
came out of the womb seething.
Shit, man, go back and look at some of the plays he wrote in the 1960s. They're not exactly pleasant.
Right. Hey, again, a specific mindset and a specific point of view, but yeah, boy, Michael O'Donoghue's an interesting cat for sure. Interesting cat. Love to pose with weapons.
Oh yeah.
Oh hey man, that's a Hunter S. Thompson thing. Gotta look.
You can tell like he wishes he was.
Oh, Hunter S. Thompson. Yeah, but I mean, don't we all?
Of course, everyone to a certain degree. But imagine being effectively an outlaw journalist.
Contemporary.
Writing. Yeah, but a little more honest than Hunter Thompson in that he was just like, no, I write fiction.
Oh, hey now. Dr. Gonzo, man, he was his own thing, as they would say. Good
yeah,
Lord.
Dr. Gonzo, Mr. Mike.
Yeah, right. So, on that note, Father Malone, final thoughts on Mr. Mike's Mondo video. I like how you got it and you side-eyed me afterward.
If you're a monomaniac, you got to see this. If in the same way that I endorsed the Groove Tube, if you want to see a slice of a certain time and place in American culture and history and comedic landscape, and get to see one of the most important voices of comedy in the 20th century on display, you're not going to see him at his best. The level of humor on display here is not representative of what he was capable of, but you do get to see him in action, and you get to see like I said, most of the players of Saturday Night Live all show up here in one capacity or another. And it's hard to find, but it's not hard to find. So you can just watch it on YouTube. Like it's, and it's
don't
only
rent it. Don't rent it on YouTube. You can actually find it for free on YouTube.
Yeah, don't pay for this. But and I'm not even gonna recommend people commit their time to watch it. Even this is for like crazy super fans of SNL and these performers and this period in American comedic history. Like if you want that piece of the puzzle filled in for you, then go ahead. I do not watch this if you want to laugh.
I want to know where the Bill Murray drunk character came from. Show me.
You mean the honker?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, though, but what's funny there is like the honker was already turned into Carl, the character in Caddyshack.
Right.
Like, that had already been made by the time that they did this. And the honker had already shown up on SNL a couple of times anyway. Like there's a sketch of him and Steve Martin, if I remember correctly, just staring at the camera and yelling, "What is that?" over and over again at each other. And it's him doing that. Oh, I know what that is.
Yeah. Oh, look, I'm with you. This is a thing that I feel like you got to be into a lot of other things to even. This is as we say on the internet. If there's an SNL iceberg, this is probably below the surface level, if not several leagues below the surface level. Maybe not all the way at the bottom, the tip of the bottom of the ice, but this is definitely a completionist. You wanted to see Bill Murray, you want to see Dan Aykroyd, you want to see people doing certain things that you like. Like you said, go for it. There is so little here that works for me. It is hard to kind of suggest it, and especially in light of something like fucking Kentucky Fried Movie, which more or less looks like it works from front to back compared to this. My God, good. I mean, again, it's hard. Look, if we were talking about, let's just say, Mickey Rourke movies, we wouldn't be comparing and contrasting them every other week. But because these are all kind of the same in what they are, it's hard not to. And especially given that, like, we don't have Chevy Chase here, but got Dan Aykroyd. Got Bill Murray, so it's still like, and again, it's obviously Michael O'Donoghue, so it's all SNL.
Well, and the thing about Kentucky Fried Movie in comparison to both of these other films, Mr. Mike's Mondo Video and The Groove Tube, is that there seems to be a philosophy at work where they're just as interested in shocking and repulsing people as Shapiro and O'Donoghue, but they have the philosophy in place where it's not enough just to shock.
Right.
It's not funny.
Bad.
We're not doing it. Yes. If you're shocked while you're laughing or you're shocked while others are laughing at this particular bit of humor, well, then we've succeeded. But if you're just gasping, well, then, what is this?
Yeah.
Go watch a horror movie instead.
Right. No. And so, I'm of a mindset that there are better things to watch, but I think that this still serves a purpose and has a place in the comedic history of a certain portion of what a lot of people really enjoy right now in comedy. So, so on that note, we'll take a break and we'll play a preview for the final episode of the month. I'm so disappointed already. We're already there. We're barreled right to it. So we'll catch you on the other side of the break.
Universal, the studio that brought you such classic motion pictures as All Quiet on the Western Front, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, and Out of Africa, is proud to present
Amazon Women on the Moon.
Featuring Steve Guttenberg, Rosanna Arquette, Lou Jacoby.
Where am I? Pretty scary, huh?
Ed Begley Jr., B.B. King.
Did you know that every 7 minutes a black person is born in this country without soul?
Tie a yellow ribbon round the old tree.
Russ Meyer, Ralph Bellamy, Monique Gabrielle.
I bet I know what you want.
Griffin Dunn, Steve Forrest, Sybil Danning.
Oh, Steve, save yourself.
Henry Silva, Steve Allen, Kelly Preston, Carrie Fisher, and Arsenio Hall. Amazon Women on the Moon.
I've seen enough, Doctor.
I know you have. But have you? Amazon Women on the Moon.
The new film from directors Joe Dante, Carl Gottlieb, Peter Horton, John Landis, and Robert Weiss.
That's right. On the final episode of September, we're going to be talking about, I guess this is the pinnacle of where these movies reach, is more or less what it's been called, Amazon Women on the Moon.
Starring lots of actors.
Recognizable ones, I'm assuming, is what you think.
Oh, yeah. But that's the credit in the movie.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I ruined a joke for you.
We didn't even mention it on the episode for Kentucky Fried Movie, so I feel like I'll mention it here since I'm wearing a shirt. And the capital of Nebraska is Lincoln was never mentioned on the last episode.
Oh, that's true. That's a good joke. But we didn't get that in depth into Big Jim Slade.
Yeah, that's fair. And so, it'll be Father Malone and I and maybe some other folks. Who knows? There might be a special guest or two. I don't know, because I literally don't know. So until then, Father Malone, what have you been up to?
Been over at I have a puppy that's driving me crazy at this very moment. You can hear some stuff that I do over at weirdingwaymedia.com. I'm one of the noise junkies. It's a music podcast. Chris mentioned Midnight Viewing, the Night Gallery podcast. That's a couple of months monthly show. I don't know what I'm saying right now. I'm tired.
Lots of monthly shows, I think is what you're trying to say.
Oh yeah, it's twice a month. Yeah, you can hear that one. Twice a month you can hear Noise Junkies too. So I'm always in your ear. Ha ha ha. Also, I write and produce a half-hour radio drama called Dark Destinations, which I'm working on a new episode right now. So I don't think you're gonna you won't hear it in the next couple of weeks, but you'll hear it by the end of the year, I think. So stay tuned for that.
This is the first time hearing about it, and my reaction is excited. So, as for me, weirdingwaymedia.com is where you can find the things that I work on. You can find so many other things like Scary Stories We Tell, which I co-host with a whole bunch of other folks. You can also hear Twisted and Uncorked, which is hosted by Sierra and Alicia, who are much funnier than I could ever hope to be. And 80s TV Ladies, which is hosted by Susan and Sharon, which is nominated for an award. So, the fuck are you doing listening to this show? Go listen to those shows. And they're probably not even plugging this show on that show. So there you go. Just go, be free, open your ear holes and listen. Until then, Father Malone, thank you for programming the month. I mean, I feel so thankful to be able to spend 1 month a year with both you and then with Mike. So it's always, I don't know, those are the months I look forward to the most. So I'm sad to see that we're at the end, but I'm excited to see the kind of pinnacle of sketch comedy.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. And it's always a pleasure to be here and to program stuff, make people watch things.
And as always, we'll catch you on the next episode.